If you're hearing this, well, my name is Margaret Halloway, I'm 72 years old, and this is the part of my life I never thought I'd say out loud. I've spent most of my years being quiet, polite, and understanding. But people forget that quiet women aren't weak, we're just keeping track. And trust me, I've been keeping track for a long damn time. My son forgot to pick me up again. That sounds petty, right? A small thing. Something you shake off, but when it happens over and over, when it becomes a pattern, when it becomes who they are instead of what they did, it changes you. It breaks something soft and replaces it with something sharp. Today was the day it cut for the last time. I was standing outside the doctor's office, clutching my little beige handbag, the same one I've carried for 9 years because no, Michael, I don't need anything new, save your money, and the wind kept tugging at the edges of my scarf. It was colder than I expected, the kind of cold that seeps right into your bones when you're my age. I kept checking the time on my old silver watch, the one Michael gave me for Christmas when he still used to care. 2:10.2:20.2:35, the parking lot emptied, little by little, until it was just me and the echo of my own breathing. Cars pulled out in neat lines, their engines humming away like they had somewhere important to be. Everyone always has somewhere important to be. Everyone except the people waiting for someone who never comes. I called him the first time at 2:15. It rang 6 times before going to voicemail. His voice cheerfully lied, "Hey, this is Mike, I'll get back to you." He never does. The second time, it rang twice, then silence. The third time didn't ring at all, straight to voicemail. I stared at my phone, the cracked corners of the screen reflecting the grey sky above me. I'm not stupid. I know what straight to voicemail means. It means he pressed ignore. I don't know why, but the third rejection always stings the most. A woman about my age, maybe a little younger, shuffled past me, adjusting her purse and giving me that polite half-smile strangers give each other when they don't want to ask what's wrong. I wanted to say, he forgot me. Again. I wanted someone else to hear it, to make it real, but the words stayed stuck in my throat like a cough I couldn't clear. At T3:05, the receptionist came out, a sweet girl named Danielle with freckles across her nose and a soft spot for me. She hugged her cardigan around her shoulders and said, "Mrs. Halloway, are you sure you don't want me to call you a cab?" I did want her to, but I shook my head anyway, forcing a smile. "He's on his way, honey. Just running late." I don't know why we lie for the people who hurt us. Maybe because the truth feels too heavy to carry alone, but when Danielle went back inside, that smile fell right off my face and my knees were starting to ache, that dull warm throb that pulses under the skin like a warning. The sky was getting darker too, shadows stretching across the pavement. I stood there another 10 minutes, maybe 12, before the first raindrop splattered on my cheek. Not the gentle summer kind, the cold needle-like sting of early winter drizzle. And you know what I did? I laughed. Actually laughed. I stood there like a fool, soaked in cold rain, laughing at myself. Because this was the moment, the exact moment, when something inside me snapped. Not with anger, but with clarity. He wasn't coming, not this time. Not again. Not ever. I pulled my scarf tighter and murmured to nobody, "All right, Margaret. Lesson learned." Then I started walking. Slowly at first, because my legs aren't what they used to be, but with a kind of trembling determination, like a baby deer forced out of a burning forest. Car tires hissed on the wet road beside me. A wave of cold water splashed up from a passing SUV, soaking the side of my coat. If this had happened when I was younger, I would have cursed. Now, I just whispered, "Figures." By the time I got near the bus stop, the drizzle had turned into a steady fall. The bench was wet, dark metal glistening under the streetlight like it was sweating. I stayed standing, leaning on the pole, breathing hard but steady. I hadn't taken a bus in, God, what, 20 years, maybe longer. The last time was before Michael moved out, back when he still used to sit beside me and ask questions about everything we passed. "Mom, why are the traffic lights shaped like that? Mom, why's that man yelling? Mom, why do some people look sad even when everything is okay?" He used to notice the small things. He used to notice me. The bus arrived with a loud sigh, doors opening like tired jaws. The driver, a heavy-set man with sleepy brown eyes, looked at me a little too long, the way people look when they're trying to figure out if you need help. "You getting on, hmm?" I nodded. My voice wouldn't come out, so I just nodded again. The ride home was quiet. Warm, at least. I sat near the front, my coat dripping on the rubber floor, and watched the lights smear across the window from the rain. My reflection looked older than I remembered. Not wrinkled, worn halfway through the trip, I felt this heat building in my chest. Not anger. Something deeper. A slow, steady burn. I whispered to myself, I raised that boy. I gave him everything. And he left me standing in the cold like a stray dog. An older woman across the aisle glanced up, but I didn't care. I wasn't embarrassed anymore. I was. Waking up when I finally got home, the house felt too big. Too quiet. I hung my wet coat by the door, wiped my glasses with trembling hands, and put the kettle on. I always make tea when I need to think, mint on days I'm anxious, chamomile when I'm tired, and Earl Grey when I'm angry. I chose Earl Grey as the water boiled. I sat at the table and stared at my phone. There were no missed calls. No messages, not even a lazy apology. That's when I realized something important. My son didn't forget. My son stopped caring, and I let him, but not anymore. I took a slow sip of tea, tasted bitterness on my tongue, and whispered, it's time to teach him what forgotten feels like. And that, my friends, is where the revenge began. I didn't sleep that night. The house felt different after I said those words, it's time to teach him. Like the air got heavier, thicker, as if the house itself had been waiting for me to finally grow a spine after all these years. Funny, isn't it? You spend decades giving yourself away in pieces, until one day you look down and realize you're bone. Around 2:15 a.m., I was sitting in my worn floral armchair with the lamp turned low, just listening to the refrigerator hum. My tea had long gone cold. I kept looking at the door, half expecting Michael to burst through it dramatically with some excuse. He's always been good at excuses, a natural storyteller when it comes to his own failures, but the door stayed quiet, and something in me hardened because of that silence. I picked up my phone and finally saw his message. It came in at 11:08 p.m. Sorry mom, didn't see your calls. Busy day. Rain was crazy lol. Talk tomorrow. That lol. That damned lol. Like the weather was the problem, like I was just some inconvenience he forgot to bring inside before the storm. I stared at that message for 3 minutes before my thumb hovered over the reply button. But I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to give him my words. Instead, I stood up, stretched my aching knees, and shuffled toward my bedroom. My reflection in the hallway mirror stopped me dead in my tracks. I looked sharp. Not angry sharp, awake sharp. Like a woman emerging from a fog that lasted 30 years. You've always been too soft, I whispered to that reflection. Way too soft. And for the first time in my life, I felt the thrill of not being soft. I went to bed around 3 o'clock, wrapped myself tightly in my blanket, and fell asleep with that new hard feeling in my chest, like a small glowing ember waiting for air. The next morning, I didn't text Michael. I didn't call. I didn't do the usual dance where I check in on him like he's still 10 years old and needs reminding to brush his teeth. I made myself breakfast, eggs, toast, and a little strawberry jam, and sat at my kitchen table humming to myself. I wasn't pretending to be calm. I was calm. He texted at 9:26 a.m. Mom, you awake? Then at 9:31, you good? Then at 9:48, Mom? I didn't answer. Let him wonder. Let him feel that uncomfortable tug, that twist in the stomach when someone doesn't respond. That quiet fear of being ignored. By noon, he called me then again, and again. I let it ring every single time. Around 12:40, he left a voicemail. I could tell he thought turning on the charm would fix things. Hey Mom, it's me. Call me, okay? Just wanna hear your voice. Yesterday was crazy. Sorry about missing you. I was on the other side of town, didn't realize how late it got. Anyway, call me. Love you. Love you. He says it like a period, something that forces the sentence to end on his terms. Not this time. I spent the afternoon knitting. Not because I needed a scarf or anything, I just needed something to do with my hands while I ignored him. By 4 o'clock, he showed up at my door. I saw his shadow through the window. He knocked 3 times, loud and familiar, like he owned the place. Mom? You home? I didn't move, not a sound, not a whisper. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears, but I kept my breathing slow. Controlled. It was like training a stray dog. You don't reward bad behavior. He knocked again. Mom, come on, I know you're in there. His voice cracked, just a little. Good. After a full minute of silence, I heard him sigh, that frustrated exhale he used to do even as a teenager when something didn't go his way. Fine. Whatever. I'll call you later. I watched through the gap in the curtain as he walked to his car, shaking his head, pulling out his phone like he had something more important waiting. And when he drove away, I exhaled slowly. It felt powerful. Like reclaiming a piece of myself. That evening, he sent one last message. If you're mad, then just tell me IDK how I'm supposed to fix things if you don't say anything. 4 years, that guilt trap worked on me. 4 years, I played therapist to his conscience, cleaning up after his neglect like it was spilled milk instead of spilled years. But I wasn't that woman anymore. I put my phone on silent, placed it face down on the table, and turned on the television just for background noise. I wasn't ignoring him. I was returning the favor. 2 days passed. .2 Beautiful, quiet days. I didn't answer a single call. I didn't read a single message. I didn't even look out the window in case he showed up again. I lived in my own world, a world where my time and my presence actually belonged to me. And then, on the third day, he broke. At 7:12 p.m., there was a frantic pounding on my door. Not the confident knock he used before, not the annoyed one either. This one had fear in it. Mom? Mom, open the door, please. I'm worried. Please. My breath caught in my chest. There it was, not guilt, not manipulation, fear, and God help me, but I liked the sound of it. Before I could decide whether to open the door, my phone lit up on the table. Not with a call, with a text message from an unknown number. Mrs. Holloway. I need to tell you something about your son. I froze, the pounding outside stopped, everything went silent, and the ember in my chest, that tiny burning piece, flared so hot it felt like it might set the whole room on fire. When I saw that unknown number on my phone, I didn't touch it at first. I just stared at the screen like it was a loaded gun outside. Michael had gone quiet, too quiet. For a moment, I thought he might have left. But then I saw his shadow shift against the bottom of the door. He was still there, still waiting, still anxious. Good. I picked up the phone carefully, like it might explode in my hand, and reread the message. Mrs. Holloway. I need to tell you something about your son. Something twisted deep in my stomach. Not dread, anticipation. Normally, a message like that would send a mother running for her child. But I wasn't a normal mother anymore. I was a woman who had finally stopped letting guilt be her leash. Still, I typed back, who is this? It took only seconds for the reply to come. My name is Amanda. I'm Michael's girlfriend. Girlfriend, that word hit harder than I expected. Michael hadn't mentioned a girlfriend in years. Not once, not to me, anyway. He always acted like he didn't have time for relationships, like work swallowed every part of his life. But here she was, messaging me. Not him outside. I heard Michael shift again. The boards on the porch creaked under his weight. He must have been pacing, inching closer to the door with every moment of silence. My fingers hovered over the screen. Why are you contacting me? She responded almost instantly. Because he won't tell you. And he needs help. Anne. I don't know what else to do. My breath caught. Was this manipulation, another angle, a fresh way to drag me back into the mess I thought I'd finally climbed out of? But then another message came, longer this time, desperate. He's been lying to you. A lot. About where he is, why he doesn't show up, the things he keeps promising and forgetting. He's not doing well, Mrs. Holloway. And I don't mean emotionally. I mean in ways that could ruin everything. My chest tightened so fast it hurt. I typed with trembling fingers, what are you talking about? Be specific. And this time, the silence stretched. A long, breathless pause, the kind of pause that makes your skin prickle because you know the next sentence will change everything. Outside, Michael must have felt it too, because he knocked again, softer now, almost scared. Mom, please. Just talk to me. Please. I didn't answer him. I couldn't. The phone buzzed again. He owes people money. A lot of money. And not the kind you can just pay back in a few checks. My entire body went cold. Another message, he's been gambling. The room shifted around me, just swayed. Gambling. I closed my eyes, memories flooding so fast I couldn't breathe. Michael at 14, sneaking change out of his father's desk. Michael at 18, coming home smelling like cigarettes he swore weren't his. Michael at 24, maxing out a credit card and crying about it afterward. He had always chased risk like a thirsty man chasing water. Only difference was, this kind of water could drown him. I forced my hands to steady enough to type, why are you telling me this? Now. Another long pause. Then, because they came to the apartment yesterday asking for him. My heart stopped. They? 2 men. I don't know who they were. But they scared me, Mrs. Holloway. They said if he didn't pay by the end of the week, something would happen. Something. That word hung in the air like smoke from a burning house. Behind the door, I heard Michael whisper my name again. Not angry, not annoyed, scared. Mom. I need to come inside. Please. I'm not okay. My legs moved on their own step by step. I approached the door, my fingers brushing the cold doorknob. For a moment, I froze, torn between two truths. Truth one. He left me standing in the cold. Again. He forgot me. Again. He treated me like a burden, a chore, a background noise in his busy little life. Truth two. He was still my son, and the people chasing him weren't the kind who forget. I swallowed, my throat tight, and whispered more to myself than to anyone. You did this to yourself, Michael. Then I unlocked the door, just the latch, not the deadbolt. I cracked it open only an inch. Michael's face appeared through the gap, pale, frantic, eyes wide like a cornered animal. Rain had slicked his hair against his forehead, and his hands were trembling so hard I could see the vibration through the crack. Mom, thank God. He tried to push the door open wider, but I pressed my hand against it, stopping him. He blinked, confused. Why won't you let me in? I held his gaze for a long moment, and my voice came out steady, too steady. Tell me the truth first. He froze, every muscle in his face tightened. His eyes darted away, left, right, anywhere but at me. Mom. I don't want to drag you into this. That's not an answer. He swallowed hard, his breathing hitched. Finally, he whispered, because they're coming for me. My stomach dropped. How much? He didn't answer. Michael. He looked at me, eyes shining with terrified tears. 27,000. My hand slipped off the doorknob. I covered my mouth, took a slow breath. The world went fuzzy for a moment. 27,000. Not hundreds. Not even thousands. 27,000. He kept talking, words spilling out fast and shaky. I was trying to make extra for you, for the house, for the repairs. You kept saying you didn't want me to spend money, but I wanted to. I just wanted us to be okay. And I messed up, Mom. I messed up. His voice cracked. He tried to push the door again, but I didn't move. Inside my chest, everything battled: love, anger, fear, betrayal. And that ember, that hot little ember, suddenly roared into a flame. You didn't do this for me, I said quietly. You did this because you're addicted to losing. He flinched like I slapped him. I need help, he whispered. I know, I said, and you're going to get it. I finally opened the door all the way, but instead of letting him inside, I stepped out. His eyes widened. Mom? What are you doing? I closed the door behind me, locked it, then I walked past him, down the steps, into the cold evening air. Mom, where are you? I'm going to meet someone, I said. My voice was calm, steady. Who? He asked, frantic. I turned back toward him. Your girlfriend. Michael's face collapsed. No. Mom, please don't. But I didn't stop. For the first time in years, I wasn't following him. I was leading. Amanda lived only 10 minutes away, but the walk felt longer, maybe because every step I took was a step away from the woman I used to be. The streetlights flickered above me, humming softly like they were whispering secrets. The cold air pressed against my lungs, but I welcomed it. It reminded me I was still alive. Still thinking. Still choosing. When I reached her building, the porch light glowed a pale yellow, and the curtains in her living room were half drawn. I knocked gently. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door cracked open, and a young woman with tired eyes and dark circles appeared. Amanda. Her hair was messy, pulled into a loose bun, and her hands trembled slightly as she held the door. You're Mrs. Holloway, she whispered, stepping back to let me inside. I nodded. The apartment smelled faintly of coffee and sleepless nights. The place was small, not dirty, just worn, like someone had been trying too hard for too long with too little. Dishes in the sink. A half-eaten sandwich on the table. A blanket thrown across the couch. Sit anywhere, she said, pushing hair behind her ear. I didn't expect you to actually come. Why did you message me? I asked, lowering myself onto the couch. My knees cracked loudly. Amanda hesitated, then sat across from me. She took a deep breath and tried to gather herself. Because I don't want him to die. My chest tightened. She didn't whisper it for effect. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't fishing for sympathy or attention. It was the voice of someone who had seen something real and terrifying. She reached for her phone. Her hand shook. Yesterday, she said, those men came again. The same ones from last month. Last month. I repeated slowly. Amanda nodded. He's been hiding it from you, but he's also been hiding it from me. I didn't even know how deep it was until they put their hands on me. Everything inside me went still. They touched you? Just grabbed my arm. She looked away. But the way they said his name. God, Mrs. Holloway. They weren't threatening him. They were promising. A cold, metallic fear settled in my stomach. What do they want? I asked. Payment. All of it. Now. I leaned back, took in the whole scene, the apartment, the young girl in front of me, my son's shadow in all the corners of her life. Amanda rubbed her hands together nervously. I didn't know who else to call, she said. He doesn't listen to me anymore. He won't eat. He doesn't sleep. He keeps saying he'll fix it, but he's only making it worse. I closed my eyes for a long moment, then I said the thing I had never said out loud, not even to myself. He thinks people will forgive him because he's scared. Amanda's eyes widened, like I had spoken a truth she didn't expect someone his mother to admit. I continued, and he thinks I will fix everything because I always have. Every mess. Every disaster. Every stupid choice. I opened my eyes and looked at her, but this time, I won't save him. Amanda's breath caught. You mean, you're going to abandon him? No, I said softly, I'm going to free him. A silence spread between us, heavy, but honest. After a moment, Amanda swallowed hard. What are you going to do? And for the first time in my life, I said exactly what I meant. I'm going to teach him what consequences feel like. Amanda looked at me with something between fear and admiration. Mrs. Halloway, they might hurt him. I know. You're not afraid. I thought about that for a long time. The truth rose from somewhere deep, somewhere tired, somewhere old, somewhere that had been ignored for decades. I'm done being afraid of things that destroy me slowly, I said. If something's going to hurt, at least let it be fast and honest. Amanda stared at me, stunned, and then whispered, You're stronger than he thinks. I smiled sadly. I always was. We talked for nearly an hour. She told me everything, the nights he came home shaking, the business trips that were really casino trips, the borrowed money from friends he never repaid, the lies, the panic, the unraveling. Piece by piece, she laid my son bare, and for once, the truth didn't break me. It rebuilt me. He needs rehab, she said finally. Not just for the gambling. For the running. The lying. The pretending. I nodded. I know. And, he won't go willingly. I know that too. She leaned forward. Then how? How do you make someone like that get help? And here's where everything changed, not just for him, but for me. I took a long breath, straightened my back, and said words that surprised even me. By stopping the rescue. Amanda blinked. What do you mean? I said, I'm going to let him fall. Her mouth parted, but no sound came out. I continued, speaking slowly, deliberately. Every time I save him, I teach him that sinking is safe. That he can drown himself and expect me to pull him out. I'm done pulling. If he wants to survive, he'll have to swim. Amanda rubbed her arms, shivering despite the warm apartment. That's harsh. It's the only thing he'll understand. She stared at me for a long moment, then whispered, What if he hates you? I smiled. He already does. He just doesn't say it out loud. Amanda's face softened with something like grief, but also relief. She finally knew she wasn't alone in loving someone who kept hurting himself. When I stood to leave, my legs felt stronger, my spine straighter, my breath deeper. Amanda followed me to the door. What should I do? She asked. I placed a hand on her shoulder, something gentle, something steady. Stay out of the way, I said. We're done shielding him. As I stepped outside, the wind hit my face, cool and sharp. And for the first time since Michael was born, I didn't feel like a mother. I felt like a woman with a plan. And Michael, he was about to find out exactly what it felt like when the person who always saved him, stopped.